I think arguably one of the few Marxist tendencies in Nigeria who correctly foreread events.
Yeah.
That is just the truth.
Yeah.
Those who oppose us on the left have now called me. I'm attending marathon, as you can see, interviews, discussions, meetings.
Yeah.
It happened on the 25th of February, and the Nigerian left has not yet could not understand it.
So today we're joined once again by a returning, you could even say victorious champion of the podcast, comrade and barrister Ayo Ademiluyi, who, as longtime listeners will know, is a public interest and radical lawyer based in Eti-Osa local government in Lagos, where he contested to be the flag bearer of the Labour Party, and where Labour Party actually won the House of Representatives seat for Eti-Osa. So, Comrade Ayo, thank you for joining us, and I suppose congratulations are in order.
Thank you so much, comrades. It's a pleasure to be here once again.
Yeah.
Our perspective is one deserving of that victory.
Right.
As we said in our earlier episode, events have confirmed us to be correct.
Right.
And that is the value of Marxism.
So let's talk a little bit about those events and victory. So, I mean, last we spoke, you were in the midst of fighting to take back your ticket, because the understanding you gave us was that you actually won the primaries to be the House of Representative flag bearer for the Labour Party in Eti-Osa, but that the National Labour Party leadership was attempting to hand that ticket to somebody else who had not competed in the primaries, who had basically catapulted in with some money in effect. I know that some of this is in the courts, and so maybe some specifics might not be available to us, but in broad strokes, where are we now? The election has been held. The Labour Party won that seat and did better than expected nationally, and we'll come to the national question later. But just focusing on the Eti-Osa question, where is the matter now?
Thank you so much. As you will recollect, at the time we did a podcast on this issue, we were battling to get onto the ballots. We were having an action in court at that time against the Labour Party itself and INEC. Now, as things stands now, election has been held on the 25th of February 2023. Our analysis confirmed correct as constituents of Eti-Osa federal constituency. Vote came out massively, despite intimidation, harassment by thugs of the All Progressive Congress. Appropriately, they voted against Lekki massacre, against all the injustices in the constituency, the Lekki bullying, the SRS killings, and all whatnot that the APC represented. Now, be that as it may, INEC declared a purported candidate. I call it purported because it's actually not the candidate. As you recollect, at that time, I emerged as the valid, the bona fide candidate from the valid primaries that was held on the 27th of May 2022. And that is valid because that's the time. May is the time specified under the electoral calendar for primaries.
Yeah.
Now, INEC declared one Atta Thaddeus Ashif as the winner of that election on the 25th of February 2023. Right. But the question is who is Atta Thaddeus Ashif? As at the time I spoke last on this podcast, we never even knew that kind of entity existed until we scooted the matter up to judgment before Justice Aneke. And then the judge now told us that there is another set of people who have a suit by the name Labour Party and others. That you people came under Labour Party, because what happened was that National Legal Advisor of Labour Party reached out to us, offered an olive branch. We withdrew the matter against the Labour Party, And then we now sued. I'm a lawyer. I received his mandate to sue on behalf of the party and my fellow candidates against INEC, that we should have a united front against INEC. So, and we did. Lo and behold, on the day of judgment of that matter, the court brought to our notice another set of candidates, of purported candidates. And it was there and then we now saw the list of these purported candidates who claim to be substitution candidates. And among them, Ata and Chief Thaddeus. Now, in fact, left to me, I never even knew that he was someone I knew. He was part of the people that came to the party in June, that we hosted at Piccadilly Hotel, Aja. We welcome to the party. Remember, that was when the influx of obedience came into the party. And if you recollected, we analyzed who the class composition of the obedience, that they are religious obedience who are drawn away from the Muslim bigotry of the APC regime, the class conscious obedience, those who are totally appalled with the APC and the PDP, and then, of course, the ethnic obedience. So it was part of the wave of elements who came to the party in June. He was not even a member of the party at that time. We are even trying to put in structures and all those things at that time. So how can somebody like that now become a candidate? We have to be 6 months. You must be a member of the Labour Party 6 months earlier before you can run for a family. We have been in the Labour Party since 2021 when we prosecuted the matter against Lagos State Electoral Commission on the matter of when they excluded totally the Labour Party from the electoral ballot. Now, as it may, they are claiming to be substitution candidates. But for you to substitute under the Electoral Act, you must substitute a valid candidate. At least somebody that has already emerged in May, and you want to substitute him in August or June or July, as the case may be. That person must either have died or voluntarily withdrawn. As I speak to you, I'm alive.
Yeah.
I am still going to live more years, as far as centuries.
Yes. We hope so.
Now, two is that I have not voluntarily withdrawn. So what particulars is this Mr. Thaddeus Atashi claiming to be a social candidate, and then of course being supported by the Labour Party bureaucracy, who's afraid of us, because they know exactly who we are. We are the left tendency within the party. They know exactly that we are a threat to their money bag politics in the party. Now, what happened was that they went to the Federal High Court, Abuja. They lost. They tried to seek the same order we are seeking for. Of course, the court said they didn't reveal the details of who they are substituting. Then another went to the Court of Appeal in Abuja. You don't know how they did it. They got judgments in their favor at that place on the basis of concealment of fact, because the court is also not an angel. The court is a human being.
Of course.
It is what is claimed by the court that the court will adjudicate on the basis of the evidence and that the Labour Party leadership assented to that list. They have no choice but to give their judgment. But is it the case that, follow-up question, is it the case that the Labour Party national leadership can just forward any name, even the name of a donkey or of a dog or of
in a supposed democratic party, which is supposed to be trying to change the way that things are done in the favor of the rule of law, right?
Thank you so much. Now, the Electoral Act says only forward valid candidates in time. So, as far as the answer of the law is concerned, Mr. Thaddeus Atashi is a purported winner. We are now back in court because it's never over until it is over. We have about 2-3 days to the election. There were fresh appeals at the level of Supreme Court. Though we also went to Supreme Court to set aside that court of appeal judge. The court, Supreme Court felt we should withdraw it, and it was struck out. But there were still 3 valid appeals. And the doctrine, the British jurisprudential doctrine of least pendants, which they borrowed from the Romans, is that once a matter is before the courts, there should be no action taken on it until it is adjudicated upon. Now came 25th of February, people voted massively for the Labour Party. The mandate is for the party. INEC ought not to have declared after as pending the determination of those appeals. Now there is also a valid and subsisting action at the Federal High Court in Lagos here, wherein I maintained an action against the Labour Party and INEC. So it's for the court to determine. With those overwhelming cases, INEC ought not to have declared what has been declared now. He has been given a certificate of return. Is that the end of the struggle? The answer is no. As on the 22nd of March, I was before Honorable Justice Lifu, of Federal High Court, led by my counsel, Mr. Deshino Bulano. And then the court, of course, Labour Party counsel the Labour Party came, one Mr. Abbas Ibrahim, he was just raising out a lot of rabble-rousing about what happened, about all the cases that we have gone through. But this one now is talking about the question of the distinction between the fresh case now and the other cases is that it is the question of declaration of who the candidate is. That I am the candidate, and INEC in their counter affidavit has also not denied that there was a primary of 27th of May. Yes, I have not said that his electoral officer was not there on that day.
Yeah.
So the battle line is now drawn, and this battle line that is drawn, we have already taken we have already accepted our mandates. We have opened our constituency office right here in Eti-Osa federal constituency. Part is that the mandate is bigger than an individual. It's the mandate of the movement. It's the mandate of the anti-Lekitoni movement. The movement for justice, because the white paper of the governor of Lagos State after the panel report is that the NSAS element should approach the federal government of Nigeria to obtain justice. And the federal government of Nigeria is divided into three organs: the executive, the legislature, and judiciary. Of course, the only forum we can approach is the National Assembly. And since we have opened our constituency offices both in Lagos and in Eti-Osa and then an Abuja office, we have been intervening in a number of issues because that mandate is to intervene decisively in the issues that borders on the working class and the poor. We have written an open letter to the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress to demand this intervention, despite the matter being in court. We felt that Labour movement is rule. Don't forget that the day before yesterday, yesterday was meant to be the nationwide picketing of CBN offices by the Nigerian Labour Congress. And we wrote an open letter to the Nigerian Labour Congress president that, as far as I'm concerned, as a left-leaning member of House of Representatives elect, because I have claimed my victory at the polls. I am a MHR that will be on a minimum wage of an average worker, and that I'm going to join the picket line yesterday. If not because it was suspended, I was already prepared to join the picket line. That kind of left politicking is completely unknown and strange, quite unprecedented in Nigeria.
Well, in fact, I think that's the direction. Sorry to interrupt you, but I think that's the direction we want to go next in the conversation in terms of the future of the left in the Labour Party and beyond the Labour Party. But before we do that, just to quickly summarize on the point about your candidacy. So for those who want to support or follow the development of the legal case, what should they pay attention to? So there's now the case in Lagos. Should that be the focal point of attention?
The focus now is the case in Lagos.
Okay.
At the federal, the next adjourned date is 7th of April. Yes.
I see. Okay.
Next adjourned.
Okay. And then you have social media pages for your house office.
Yes. We have you can check out on Facebook, Comrade Ayo Ademiluyi on Facebook. Then on Twitter, Comrade Ayo Ademiluyi. Then on Instagram, equally, Comrade Ayo Ademiluyi. You can search them out on all those handles. You can follow us effectively.
Where we want to go next in the conversation is around the future of the left in the Labour Party and the left movement in the Labour Party more generally, which you've already, you yourself represent partially. I think you've given us a good picture of, your own position within the Labour Party at the moment. So to zoom out slightly, right, we want to understand the nature of, or the situation of the left more broadly in the party. The emergence of the Obi candidacy and the way that Labour was propelled to a kind of national scale in the campaign created a lot of conversations and some division within the left in Nigeria. There were a bunch of organizations, individuals who took a position against entering the Labour Party. There were some organizations, individuals who did enter at different levels, some at the national level, some at the local level, as is the case with you. How would you assess the nature of the left in the Labour Party at the moment? do you feel like your faction, to put it in those terms, have a future within the party? And from what direction do you feel like the left at the national level is participating or contributing in any way to the development of the party, or do you feel like it's more about local struggles, or should we think of it differently? So I just want to get a sense of your assessment of, the state
Thank you so
of and
much.
future of the left in the Labour Party.
Thank you so much for these questions. Though they seem to have four legs, I will take it one. I think the first part is that the disposition of the left to entryism into the Labour Party. Uh, that dates back to the early days of 2022, when, for the first time in 20 years of its existence, the labor bureaucracy, first of all, it's even the disposition of the labor bureaucracy. That's I'm talking about top leadership of the two labor centers, the Nigerian Labour
NLC and
Congress,
TUC. Yeah.
TUC, Congress. For 20 years, these two labor center leadership played lip service to the question of building the party with which they registered with the hard-earned money of ordinary workers. But what now spurred them, so to speak, in 2022, it was not because they were interested in generally building the party. It was the intensity of the class struggle. Don't forget that in 2020, the NSAS really brought the youth into the arena of politics. That's just the truth. First time, lazy generation now has awakened and that has found his voice in the political arena. And it was looking for a political expression for that anger. So in 2022, which was just the heat of the 2023 elections, the Labour bureaucrats had no choice, as we have already foreseen in 2021, anyway, in our pre-election analysis, that the Labour bureaucrats had no choice than to do some window dressing with the Labour Party. It's not maybe they are really interested in building the party. And why did I say so? I'm just making a mere assertion. The Labour bureaucrats themselves did not even stand as candidates in the election. If any time they, at all times they stood in this 2023 election, they stood under the APC. So they are not people who really believe in building the party. Yeah. The only other approach they adopted was to open the doorway of the party to bourgeois elements who have lost out in the mainstream PDP and APC. Yeah. But let's rewind to the period between February and May. February 2022, the NSC had a major summit on Labour Party for the first time in 20 years, as I said. Then March 2, the TUC equally had a roundtable on the Labour Party. And they were really doing serious mobilization of workers. But it is just exactly a year ago that the General Secretary of the TUC, Mr. Musa Lawal Ziggy, died in the Abuja-Kaduna train crash on the way to Kaduna Zonal Summit to go and mobilize workers in the Northwest into the Labour Party. So it shows you it was not because it was convenient for them. It was prayer, the enormous prayer emerging within the political arena, engineered first of all by the currents of the answers, then secondly by the national question that was clearly posed by the bigotry, by chauvinism, and the irredentism of the Buhari regime that made this Labour bureaucrats to explore the political road. And came May 1st, 2022, they made a grand declaration that workers should join the Labour Party. As at that time, the official left was organized in what they call the People's Alternative Political Movement. That left coalition, of course, maintained a very, if you ask me, a very self-definitive approach by declaring itself as the People's Alternative. How did you become the People's Alternative? Did you convert? The answer is no. Did you register a party? The answer is no. So, of course, they maintained a very big distance from what the Labour bureaucrats were doing. True. It was even the Labour bureaucrats themselves that were now putting pressure on the left elements within the official left to come and join the party. To save the face, they joined the party. And equally, the liberal coalition called the National Constituency Front also joined the party on that May day. As for us, who are the who are the revolutionary left, as I will put it, our own broad left coalition, because we felt that the so-called left coalition project of TPAM was bound to crumble because of of the very, very reconcilable tendencies within that coalition. Our coalition called Convergence for Working People's Political Alternative, COPA, decided to intervene decisively in the Labour Party from May Day 2. So came May 2021, TPAM spent only 21 days within the Labour. They claimed that they were asking for the crown of the monarchy. They were asking for just one thing, and that is the presidential ticket of the party. Ordinarily, the Labour Party bureaucrats have already started selling nomination forms for presidency at the rate of 30 million naira. And 6 aspirants have already obtained that form. So 30,006, they have already gathered 180 million. And they said the left should go and pay 30 million. They said they can't pay 30 million, and yet they want the presidential ticket.
And who was the candidate of the left tendency at that point in time?
FF. There was a petition, online petition that FF should run. Should run for the presidency for the presidential ticket of Labour Party. Yeah. But of course, the question was that even if you didn't get the presidential ticket, there was a list that was circulated at that time of 774 contacts of the NNC and TUC in the local government of Nigeria, with which the left could have used to build structures, roots within the ward level, to the state level, to the local government level, to the national level. But you did not. After 21 days, they came to Lagos, they had the Lagos summit, and they drew the conclusion that they are leaving the Labour Party because the party, the party is already, they just wrote off the party at that stage. But in our own sublime view, we felt it was too hasty to leave the Labour Party at that time. That was May 21st. Please note this day. We decided to zero our efforts in the Eti-Osa constituency, federal constituency, because we know that the two major currents that were driving the Labour bureaucrats to do some window dressing within the party will catalyze in our local area, in Lekki here, in Eti-Osa, which is the domiciliary of those two currents, the SARS and the national question to an extent. And fast forward to 2017, I stood as a candidate. Don't forget that I'm a co-chair of that broad left coalition, our own broad left coalition, which is called COPA. And I won the primaries, which we are talking about in the first part. Then on the 28th of May, just a day after my primaries, Mr. Peter Obi left the PDP on that day. Then 3 days later, the National Convention of the Labour Party was now held in Asaba on June 1st. In fact, it was moved from Abuja, from June 3rd in Abuja to June 1st because of Mr. Peter Obi. Of course, all the other 6 presidential aspirants stood down for Mr. Peter Obi, and that came the entry of Mr. Peter Obi into the party. As far as we, the revolutionary left in the party, is concerned, Mr. Peter Obi is a bourgeois element, fundamental break from the other bourgeois politicians in the country, despite all the despite all the illusions around him and everything. He is a member of the ruling class. That's just the truth. And it was Cabral that said, tell no lies and claim no easy. But at the same time, the class character of Obi is different from the obedience as I collected. You have the ethnic people who think, you have what we call the ethnic obedience, who think that this is the last bus stop to a peaceful Igbo presidency. Before they join the ranks of rural guerrilla warfare behind IPOB and ESN to slug it out against the Nigerian army to fight for independent Biafra. Then too, are the religious obedience, the Orthodox, the Pentecostal, the Charismatics, and they said, there was the Jesus of the Bible that said, "Oh Peter, upon this rock."
Upon this rock. Chris Oyakilome statement.
And the man is bearing Peter. So that was how they endorse it. Then it's not class conscious obedience. People are appalled by the PDP and the APC and who are looking as we have already foreseen. They've been looking for a political way out of the miasma of capitalism. So the fact was that they also queued behind Peter Obi in the absence of the left playing that role. Peter Obi himself catalyzed, it was a catalyzation of all those currents, both the NSAS force and the National Question Force, which has its hottest partner in the Biafra section of the country on that June 1st. Now, the question is that what was the role of the official left in that convention? I'm on record now, and it's all over the internet. Mr. Femi Falana, I'm arguably one of the leading figures in left movement, official left movement, was the cancer to the Nigerian Labour Congress, who withdrew all the cases in court. With the Labour bureaucracy, they withdrew all the cases in court against the Labour Party bureaucrats. Don't forget, Labour Party bureaucrats themselves were being challenged by the Labour bureaucracy because they didn't emerge from a valid neck. That's another story for another day. Long and short, the role of the official left was to be the underwriter for the emergence of Peter Obi. That is the truth. That led to splits within the ranks of TPAM. As we foresaw, we knew that there's going to be a major split in TPAM on Labour Party question. There were some elements within the TPAM, affiliates of that TPAM, that felt that they should, as left organization, they should keep behind Peter Obi himself. And included a tendency called Socialist Labour and some other organizations. I don't remember their names now, about 2 or 3.
ASCAP is another one.
Yes, a huge chunk of that particular coalition, broad coalition, left the TPAM to go and walk behind Peter Obi, to even intervene decisively, directly in the Labour Party. But unfortunately, they didn't have this independent working class approach of separating the obedience from Obi. They just keep behind, entered into, the Obi Hallelujah Club and all that. Now, as for us within COPA, we were confirmed correct because we felt that it was an opportunity for us to now raise this issue of working within the Labour Party, but in an independent banner. You understand? So, of course, we were in court back and forth and all that. But naturally, towards the end of the year, the whole saga of trying to get on the ballot, we hosted a summit in Abuja, and we invited all the tendencies of the left to discuss the question of our attitude to the elections. And I want to answer the third part of your question, which is the question of what should now be the future of the left in the Labour Party. So in December 2022, we had a summit in Abuja, and the People's Redemption Party, which is an old left party, came to that summit. And we laid it together. Look, the fact is that we need a multi-pronged approach to the 2023 elections. There's no basis whatsoever upon which we keep behind Peter Obi in that election. But at the same time, we intervene where we have influence within the Labour Party, while building a coalition of left parties with the AAC, the African Action Congress, and the People's Redemption Party. Don't forget that there was a standing alliance between the AAC and the PRP Vanguard, because there was a split also. There's a faction in the PRP that is on the left faction. So these are with which we worked on the presidential plane. COPA stood with Omoyele Sowore, despite the fact that the tendency, our affiliate within COPA, which is the Socialist Equality Movement, was within the Labour Party.
Right.
Now, it was clear to us that at the presidential level, there was need for a left figure to compete that space with Mr. Peter Obi. Because, of course, there are the overwhelming illusions around Mr. Peter Obi. He does not offer a socialist alternative. In fact, his manifesto was a much more neoliberal document, and even that of Mr. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that's just the truth. That's not confuse their personalities anymore. Because, of course, an emergence of a Peter Obi as president would have further radicalized, accentuated the radicalization that we started in 2020. In fact, I would say I want the emergence of Mr. Peter Obi as president, because all the around him will be settled once and for all. But back to the issue was that with the emergence of now coming into play, with the victory in Eti-Osa, and our battle for Eti-Osa, where now for the Nigerian left within the Labour Party and outside of the Labour Party.
And let me
now,
throw in one more component there. So the Labour Party has, based on the official results, lost at the national level, and Peter Obi has been encouraged to go to court on the one hand. On the other hand, some Labour Party candidates have emerged in local races. Of course, the most notable one is the gubernatorial candidate who won in Abia State. And there are now also House of Representative candidates, a handful from mostly southern parts of the country. So then the question before you, as you think about the future of the left in the Labour Party, is one, in terms of your own race and tendency, how do you intend to navigate within a party of this sort, in this scenario? And two, for leftists in general, what should be their orientation towards these new Labour Party candidates? Should we expect them to be different from the APC, PDP candidates that have emerged? Should we focus more on trying to hold them accountable, or should we, given the fact that in theory their party represents Labour, or should we see them as part and parcel of the wider political structure that has given us APC and PDP candidates nationwide? And so I just wanted to add that additional component as we think about the future of the left.
Thank you so much, Mr. Said, for those wonderful and brilliant questions. They are the questions of our movement. Now, number one is that majority of those who have emerged that will do certificates of return on the platform of Labour Party from these elections are not left-leaning elements. That is the truth. If a majority of them are people who are escapists from the PDP and the APC. Mr. Alex Oti was a candidate of APGA at the time, I think so, or PDP, I think so. So to think that maybe he's going to do something different from the other mainstream politicians is just an illusion. The same thing goes for nearly all the other candidates that also won on the plan of the party for Senate and House of Reps. But does not mean that the left should not even strive at all to raise some very key issues within the party. The immediate task for the left within the Labour Party, as far as within our own, being specific now to our own campaign in terms of trying to reclaim my mandate and all that, is the fact that we see our current stand and struggle as a means of reaching out to the top leadership of the Labour movement to come and play a decisive role within the party. I think that line that yesterday I wrote an open letter to the president, the new president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, and said clearly that the Labour movement should pay close attention to the monetization going on in the Labour Party. They are selling the fund for Imo now for 35 million. It was a lot of hue and cry, even from Mr. Peter to even intervene for the reduce to 15 million. Why? How can an average worker afford 35 million? Of course, the party now is a jamboree. That is the truth. Big marketplace and all that, where you can come and get funds at the highest price and all that. Now, besides, as we have already analyzed and as it is going, the Labour Party is on an unhindered and an unstoppable right-wing direction. That is the truth. Left tendency within the party just have little area, a very little opening, just with what happened now to maneuver. Now, the fact is that between now and June 2nd, by June 2nd, actually, there will be an inauguration of the National Assembly. Whether it be my case in court or not, the National Assembly will be inaugurated, and the purported winner may likely be sworn in as House of Reps elect. What will now be our disposition to that kind of development? The fact is that we forecasted our presidential analysis that the Labour Party, by its irreversible right-wing mobility and direction, will definitely be accommodated into a bourgeois coalition government of national unity. Either with the APC
as the case may be, despite all the hue and cry about going to the tribunal, after all is said and done, the fact is that the three main presidential candidates represent the same thing fundamentally. They will find a meeting, and there are already discussions along that direction, despite all the price. Now, that is why you will discover that Mr. Peter Obi has been discouraging a lot of obedience of going on protests. If you go on the Twitter pages, you see that they are calling for revolution. But they know, the ruling class know that they need a united front now against the insurgency of the working class. Any mass movement now will go the question of elections, to go into the question of economy, naira crunch, it will totally throw off the entire balance sheet of the ruling class. They know this for sure. So, in fact, if there's a military intervention today in Nigerian political space, these elements will be coupled together to work with this military plutocrats. So, what should be our disposition? Quiet, to be succinct, to be very, very succinct. Our days are numbered within the Labour Party. Eventually, the fact is that the left, our own tendency within the Labour Party may, as we assess events after events, the one job is intervention within the Labour Party, and definitely now take the road of opening up a new party that will be on socialism and equality to continue to combat a right-wing Labour Party which have entered into a bourgeois coalition government. Because that is the road definitely this kind of Labour Party is going. It's going to enter into a coalition government with the other mainstream capitalist politicians and run government with them. As for those who are elected on this party, if they, of course, Mr. Julius Abure, the national chairman, was saying that they won't defect. He's just joking. The fact is that many of them are going to defect back to the PDP and Labour Party. They do not have any living structures. It's just an machine. And the election fever is already going off and off. The only thing that is left for us now, limited period we have, is to show a striking example. It was Leon Trotsky that said where tradition is lacking, the striking example is necessary. The NSC was meant to organize a nationwide picketing of CBN offices yesterday. As the member of House of Reps elect in the Eti-Osa federal constituency, I wrote the NSC president that I will join the picket line.
Yeah.
That kind of left politicking you see with Jeremy Corbyn, that you read off in the books and we see in the newspapers in Europe and America, not know in Nigeria. So a lot of media houses were calling for it. Are you going to join a picket line? I said, yes, I'm going to join a picket line. Unfortunately, they suspended the picketing. But if there's any, as the member of House of Representatives elect of Eti-Osa federal constituency, I will join that picket line. We need MHRs on the socialist program in this country.
Absolutely.
Voice for the left and the labor movement.
Well, I mean, before we conclude, I think that's an interesting note to end on, the note that reflects on the wider future of the left, even beyond this election. But before then, I mean, I think that there will be some critical listeners who want to pose at least a couple more questions to you. I think one critical perspective might ask you, look, for the Labour Party to win in Eti-Osa, Peter Obi had to be on the ballot. So in a way, you know, they might say that, look, the mandate that you're fighting for, Peter Obi was necessary to having that mandate delivered to you. So do you sense a sort of tension and irony there? And if so, how do you respond to that? The possibility that, in fact, without the Peter Obi candidacy at the national level, that mandate would not have been secured?
Thank you so much for that question. That question, of course, anybody can say, it's Obi-Dati wave. They are really of the Labour Party, because they are saying both Labour, LUP, top from bottom, of course.
Exactly.
I isolate that. But as we have analyzed in this interview, the subcurrents that is even driving the Obi-Dati wave is because of the NSAS wave and the national question wave. That is why you saw the phobia that took place in Lagos State. It is not something that happened from the blues. It was a wave that was already running around from 2020, 2021. Don't forget that there was this operation now agitation by Sunday Igboho. Why is it that there's no agitation in that direction again? So it's because Bola presidency is not there. So the national question issue is undercurrent is there. In fact, at the Labour Party National Summit in December 26, I was there. Mr. Peter Obi was also there, and other people were there. The man could not even was even saying that he could not understand how in 3 months they have gathered so much momentum. The lacuna has been there. The left, the official left that face to the liberal elements, and they made a good deal of it. Now, the final point I want to make is that the NSAS wave was also critical to my success in Eti-Osa federal constituency.
Absolutely.
Don't forget that's where it happened. Why is it that Labour Party don't win in other constituencies across the country? Or even in Lagos State, they not gallantly in many other. In fact, only one, maybe only 3 in Lagos. Understand? So, that's out of 20-something constituencies. So, it was where the location, and it confirmed our perspective correct, that because of our little influence, we should position ourselves in Eti-Osa where we are domiciled anyway from time as an organization, and then use that as a basis of reaching the consciousness of the young people who are already ready to punish the APC for all the crimes they committed on the 23rd of October 2020. Now, going as the left, as leadership of the left in this country, we will call ourselves the revolutionary left, the unknown left, the so to speak, the unofficial revolutionary left. That are going to we are discussing, as I have said, the PRP has affiliated with us in COPA. The AAC is also with us. We are going to launch very soon a left front. A left front. We were in Bauchi, which was, if you remember Bauchi is one of the is like the origin of the Nigerian left. That's where you have the highest massive all the Bauchi discussions happen. We are in Bauchi, we are in Dutse, and we are going back to Zaria very soon to go on a nationwide mobilization. What is clear is that Nigeria now faces 2 things: either a revolution or a counter-revolution. That is just the truth. Well, a coup d'etat or a conscious overthrow of this ruling elite by the mass movement of the people. And the left front, we're not the left front to do that battle.
I mean, I want to throw one final question into the mix. I think you've done an interesting breakdown of the nature or the different kind of tendencies within what we call obedience. You've talked about the ethno-nationalist, ethno-federalist tendency, you've talked about the religious one, and then you've also talked about the class-conscious obedience. So what becomes of those class-conscious obedience? Should they be one of the focal groups that you try to integrate within this new left formation? Or what is their future? Because the fact that they're called obedience means that they still see Obi in some ways as a vehicle for social transformation, etc. So will they join you, or will they be split? How do you see that developing?
Thank you so much for that beautiful question. In our pre-election analysis, and it's getting confirmed correct every day, we said Obi is going to disappoint this class-conscious revolutionary obedience. Number one disappointment was that Mr. Peter Obi formed an immediate alliance with the PDP immediately after the elections were held. Those elements were appalled. If you go to their Twitter handles, they were really, really angry with that alliance. Then 2 is that the person of Peter Obi and leadership of the party have been trying to stop the obedience from going to the streets. It took their own defiance of the instruction of Mr. Peter Obi and leadership for them running. They have been holding the streets of Abuja to ransom, and they are still going to enter more and more into their. And we are already recruiting some of them. We recruited a layer of them into our organization, and we are still going to recruit more. Now, how Mr. Peter Obi will disappoint this revolutionary obedience is that immediately he's going to enter into a coalition government with Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It may look like as if I'm speaking nonsense. The fact it's on the basis of correct theoretical analysis. They did not share any fundamental ideological difference. There were personal hatred of personalities. Of course, Tinubu is widely and totally hated by a whole lot of obedience. So, but the fact is that under the pressure of the gargantuan crisis of capitalism now, The ruling class need a united front. They need a Tinubu presidency that emerges on 29th of May, 2023. We need an Obi like oxygen. Just the same way the Gowon regime needs Awolowo in July 1966.
Yeah, sure.
Just 1966 happening again.
Yeah.
History repeats itself first and foremost as a tragedy and subsequently as a farce.
Well, I mean, Peter Obi has said I have no issue with Tinubu. I'm only challenging the INEC results. Tinubu is like a father to me. I mean, quoting him directly. So, I mean, yes, I suppose even if one doesn't go as far as you, there's some indication that these differences are not insurmountable.
Historical and ideological balance sheet. Awolowo will have to be released from Calabar prison in July 1966 to cushion the national question in the West at that time. In fact, it was called the Wild West, the West here. They have to bring Awolowo to give that regime a form of legitimacy as the vice chairman. Mr. Peter Obi will be needed in the coalition government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu to give a soft landing on the national question, which is the biggest one, is Biafra question now. And then as intermediary with the Bretton Woods institutions, the WTO, World Trade Organization, where you have the Konjo Welas of this world, the IMF and the World Bank, they are on the same page about withdrawal of subsidy in June.
Yeah, as well as the devaluation of the currency critically.
And there will no basis whatsoever for any left current again within that kind of a party, because the party has now gone totally bourgeoisified, because it has entered into a bourgeois coalition government. And of course, elements like Alex Oti will be there implementing anti-worker policies and all that. So our time is very short, and that is why we are constructing now a left front with the APC, with the AAC, with the PRP, and other new left parties, as we have them, including the Movement of the People. We are also in talks with the Movement of the People of Shenkuti, and of course, we are also we'll take the next step of also constructing our own party, which is Socialist Equality Party at that time.
Comrade, this has been a really fantastic interview. We're very short on time, so I think we might need to wrap up very soon. I don't know if OAG has any final thoughts. If he doesn't, I might quickly let me tack on to whatever he says and say, in your coalition coming forward, will you also extend the olive branch to the official left? And then let me hand over to OAG in case he has any final thoughts.
Yeah, I just want to thank Comrade Ayo for coming on and then, enlightening us on the happenings within the Labour Party and all the ideological, war that's been going on. I just want to encourage that the coalition that you want to form with other left bodies, MOP, AAC, PRP, should be encouraged and then should be made public so that people will know that we have other genuine alternatives, to what they have, on ground now, So I want to commend you for the effort and things that's been going on.
Okay, just to answer your question quickly, we'll be holding a major summit very soon as events would determine very soon. We'll make heavy publicity of that. And as to the question of Comrade Said about discussing with the official left, of course, yes. Don't forget that they are now split into two, TPAM and ASCAP. We wrote to them for the Abuja summit last year. They, of course, were not giving any response. One of them wrote us a very nasty response and all that. But quality is always above quantity.
Absolutely.
We are going to reach out to them. We are reaching out to the advanced layers among them. We will definitely reach out to them.
Okay.
We are never known organism, so we'll reach out to them. We'll work with them as long as within all the confines of flexibility.
Understood. Comrade, thanks again for your time, and this has been a very enlightening interview, and I hope we can continue to discuss with you as these events develop further.